Good morning. This is Dr. Mia Luth. It is approximately 7:59 a.m. Eastern Time, New York, USA, on Saturday, August 1st, 2026, and I kind of have been. I don't know how to put this. I'm still a little sleepy. Usually I'm up before now. I'm an early riser. I don't get a lot of sleep. And like this morning, I'm still waking up a little bit, and I'm looking a little sleepy. That's the first time I've looked at myself. Right? When you see yourself on the screen, like, oh, geez. I don't know. Anyway, I don't care. I'm not entering a beauty pageant or anything, but this is definitely an ice hockey video, and I'm gonna say straight out, this channel is never meant to be monetized. Okay, never. And I try to make sure that in a title there is a category so that, like, musical people who aren't into ice hockey, right, and scientists and other people know why I'm doing a certain particular, like, video diary, whatever. Okay, so like I said, when I do these, I usually do them live, and I'm getting to that point. I'm moving again somewhere where I can recuperate properly after I get my new hip, which is scheduled for August 17th. And also I'm going to have some other work done so that my legs are even. I have one leg that is taller than the other. It's causing alignment issues, and so any help I can get. I mean, I wish you could, like, I want to tell my orthopedist, well, I mean, while you're in there, just, suck out some of that fat, because as you get older, and if you have right, like, my arms, unfortunately, they did turn to fat, because I went through a period of desk work, and I wasn't doing as much, so, yeah, so now I have bingo wings. Okay, but, yeah, anyway, this is an ice hockey definite. This is for the Hockeyverse, and this is for everyone in the ice hockeyverse, particularly those who are NHL, AHL fans. I don't think that we should let it rest. Okay, there are rules that dictate whose names can be engraved onto the Stanley Cup, and for press, and for other owners, and for fans, and for the NHLPA, even if they didn't play for the North Carolina Hurricanes, who did win the Stanley Cup this year. I don't care. This is something, we need to put this on the airwaves. We need to write about this. So for press, people who write, bloggers, other people, sometimes the summer can be a little slow. We shouldn't let this rest. We shouldn't. And this is directed to, the commissioner and Bill Daly and all. No. Okay, other owners too, owners of other teams too, should really be in on this as well. Like, as one gigantic team, we should not let it rest. The names of the owners' children must be based on rules and policies regarding whose names can be on the Stanley Cup, buffed off of the Stanley Cup, point blank. We should not let it rest until it happens, okay? Because there are people, now some of us are older, okay, and we remember the Hartford Whalers. And we remember when the Hartford Whalers became the North Carolina Hurricanes. And there are people who were involved with the club, with the Whalers, who are still involved with the club as the North Carolina Hurricanes, whose names are more appropriate to have on the Stanley Cup. There are owners who probably, I'm sure some of them, some are ownership groups, okay, but some aren't, and they might have thought, oh, I would love to have my dog's name on the Stanley Cup, what I'm trying to say, or, blah, 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 blah. No. N-O, nicht, net, nine, right, you understand. The NHLPA should be persistent about this too, because they work with people on a daily, everyday hockey daily basis. You understand? Behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, wherever, whose names, they know what some of these people bring to the club, to the teams, to the players. They know that some of these people are just tirelessly full-on ice hockey people, and they work to, help the players and the team in whatever ways they can. The Players Association should be relentlessly pursuing the removal of those names too, just simply because they know all those people who deserve recognition. And if it had been their club and there were people omitted, and there were names on there that were not even meant to be on there, there are rules and policies that dictate. Okay, this isn't about money. This is about what's right. Okay, bloggers, people looking for hockey content, we should discuss these things on the air, online. Writers should be writing about it, and we should all be aiming it at the commissioner, and we should not relent. Okay, Gary Bettman, how this was even allowed to happen, I don't care. I don't care how much money anybody has. Okay, there are other owners who are billionaires. I'm sure some of these owners may have wanted some name, but they did not do that. Okay, and I gotta be honest with you, even if there weren't, like, former Whalers people or people who've been with the North Carolina Hurricanes for a while, even if there weren't, you understand? Okay, like, the mascot's name would have been more appropriate. Do you understand? The mascot's name would have been more appropriate than this man's children. This is so unacceptable. None of us should let it rest until those names are buffed off and more appropriate names are put on. Yes, you can. You can buff those things off. You can grind them off. Yes, you can. Buff it up and you can re-engrave. Yes, you can. I don't care. A super fan's name would have been more appropriate. Like one of the, super fan cardiac canes over there would have been more appropriate. It is absolutely unacceptable. Fans should be upset about it. Like, just because there are rules, there are reasons, there are the types of names acceptable to put on the Stanley Cup. Now, see, other franchises have followed those rules. So who the fuck does this guy think he is? Right? Essentially, nobody. He didn't get down on ice and do any of this. He didn't go day by day by day, by hour by hour by hour. Nuh-uh. Wrong-o. His kids weren't even alive when this club was established. The coaches should be upset, because coaches too, they work with people on a daily basis, and they know some people just put their whole self, their heart, their soul, everything into it, and it's unacceptable. There are more appropriate names, and this cannot stand. Point blank. We should be talking about it. We should be aiming this at the commissioner. We should be aiming this at the NHL. We should be. The Players Association should be. vocal about this. Because they know there's all sorts of people. And owners and owners groups should be making some, comments toward the NHL, because they did not, put extraneous names on the NHL. And some of them, if the club does win a Stanley Cup, they're going to follow those policies and guidance as to what names are appropriate. Okay? They just know this. All the owners know this. All the GMs know this. That's setting such a ridiculously wrong precedent that I'm having difficulty even supporting I really I don't want to be an NHL fan because of some just bullshit that needs to be addressed. And this is one of them. Point blank. You understand? What's next, right? Somebody puts their dog's name on there. Somebody puts the name of their unborn child on there. It's unacceptable. You're setting a precedent that is so wrong. Why should any of us really be interested in the National Hockey League anymore? We're not going to be sweeping shit under the rug. Head hits definitely need to be reduced. I'm not going to shut up about it till I die. And, if that has something to do with why my X account, right, got suspended, I don't give a shit. I will find other ways. And I'm a U.S. citizen. And we are allowed to express ourselves. And that right was taken away from me by X.com for no good reason at all. And then they just ignored me. Now they're just ignoring me. And that's not acceptable. If I have to, I will be that kind of pain in the ass. I will just keep coming at them until we have to go straight to the freaking, it's unconstitutional. In the United States, I'm saying. So there are United States people who can understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying anybody else. My Canadian friends, maybe not, right? But everybody else, you understand? Unacceptable. I will take it all the way to the Supreme Court. I will live long enough, even if it sucks ass for me, to do that. Just as a side note. But if it has anything to do with that, I'm sorry, National Hockey League, you are not going to be able to shut me down. And I know that the vast majority of fans who, been around for a little while and understand certain things about the game, people who work for other clubs, quite literally, it would have been more acceptable to put the name of the mascot if there was no other choices, but there were, and there are, and it is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. The Cardiac Kings should not shut up about it. Screw that guy. Even if he's the owner. What's he gonna do? Take the team away from you? Let that motherfucker try. There are other owners who should be speaking up about this because they didn't put inappropriate names on the Stanley Cup. And some of them billionaires around the bouts, most of them. Truth. The NHLPA should be up in arms about it. Because day by day by day, they work with people who, don't get any, applause, and they're not out in the spotlight, and blah, blah, blah. And they know some of these people are just, just heart and soul, all pretty much franchise. Let's help the team the best we can, yada, blah, blah, for years. And those of us who remember the Whalers, there's people still involved with the club who were right, started with the Whalers. We cannot let this door be opened. We cannot let this precedent occur. Seriously. And what's next? Next owner puts his name as dog, name of his unborn child on there. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Nobody should. Rod Brindamore shouldn't. You know what I'm trying to say? Right. Neither should, Mr. Stahl, who, by the way, MVP, 37 years old. You ageists. Yeah, it's discrimination of the worst kind, some of you. You understand? Right. This is unacceptable. And AHL fans, some of these people are going to go up into the NHL, right? I mean, because they're affiliated, and, like, AHL fans should be like, what the hell, man? Like, NHL owner can't follow the rules. Why is this dumbass special? He's not. Billionaires don't have the power that some of you think they have. And particularly when there are rules and policies and guidance as to whose names are appropriate on the Stanley Cup. And other teams have followed those rules. And other ownership groups and other owners. So there's other billionaires who really should be speaking up. This is unacceptable, and we should talk about it. And we should be aiming this at Gary Bettman. Excuse me. If you don't see what's wrong there and take corrective action, then you need to step the fuck down. Right now. Today. Mr. Gary Bettman. And I don't care what anybody said, the head hits in the NHL need to be reduced as much as humanly possible. Like it or not. You understand? There are ways to handle these things. Cooperative effort. You understand? I mean, we don't need everybody to be, beating each other about the head and neck all the time. It is difficult enough to go on NHL ice and play a super clean game without getting injured in some way anyway. High-speed collisions. Like the ledge. Okay? When you're first learning how to skate, the ledge can be your friend because you can just hang on to the ledge, right? But in the National Hockey League, the ledge is nobody's friend at all. Nobody's. Okay? There are other ways. There are ways to replace fighting with something else. There are ways for officials in the NHL to, handle some things so that, right, it's still handled, but it's not handled by, more head hits. Okay, so I don't care what some of the NHLers are saying. I'm like, well, I don't think you really know what you're talking about, and you probably didn't get everybody's perspective. And, right, we don't need to be constantly beating each other about the head and neck. And there are ways to replace fighting with something else and have officials and other ways to handle it. There are. You're talking bullshit if you're gonna come at me and say, oh, wait a minute. I'm like, no. Just playing in a regular NHL game, everybody plays clean, there's still gonna be injuries. There are times somebody's a clean hit and one of the two gets the worst of it. But as for the Stanley Cup, terrible precedent. You've just I think the NHL should just go straight down to the ground, and maybe like players should own the club like the Green Bay Packers. It's so unacceptable. Why is Gary Bettman getting a paycheck? He shouldn't be getting a paycheck. I mean, don't they run that by somebody? Some big shot in the NHL? Doesn't that get run by people? Somebody accept the payoff? What the fuck is going on here? Wrong. Quite literally. You let this stand, some owner at some point, like, oh, I'm gonna put my, cat's name on the Stanley Cup. Like, what in the fuck is going on here? Everybody should be vocal about this. Nobody should be. It's like, what can we do about it? Oh, yes, we can. All of us together, trust me, we can get that done. And if anything comes out of it, it's like, okay, well then fine, Bettman, step down before you get pushed out. I am a pain in the ass that way. And yes, we can do something about it. Okay? It's not just a bunch of people bitching. It's a bunch of people who know better. Who know that there are policies and rules and guidance on whose names. Who know that there are people more appropriate. What can we do about it? A lot. We can make that happen. Stanley Cup should be corrected. It's entirely possible to, buff those names down, buff that down, and engrave proper names. It's so unacceptable. I'm like, well, Michael, just topple the NHL, and we'll just start fresh. Billionaires don't fucking run this place, people. I know a lot of you tend to think that is truth, but it is not. And Canadians may not be as used to speaking out in certain ways as U.S. citizens, but in this one, we should not be quiet. We should not be quiet. We should not just, what can we do? Yeah, okay, quitter. Well, get out of the hockey sphere, you're going to be like that. Nobody should be accepting of this. Nobody. Also, I wanted to mention, I know, I do have a written blog on WordPress, and it does, I think it still has links to the Tampa Bay, and don't worry, Jets fans, like, I'm a one franchise kind of gal. I've always been like that, and at a certain point, awareness occurred about some things, and I was no longer able, my conscience would not allow me to support the former Washington Capitals, and it's not everybody, but in general, right? So I thought I would just be with the Capitals for the entirety of my life, but things change sometimes. So I was reminiscing with Tampa, and I was hanging out. I knew they had to clean up a bit of a mess and so on and so forth. So while I was just sort of waiting, I was very, very aware, a little ahead of some people, that the Trashers were going to move to Winnipeg. Of course, I felt for the Trashers fans, because this is twice these people have had the hockey rug pulled out from underneath them. But I've been with you pretty much since, then. But I do not like the WordPress changed the format, and I just don't like it. And it is just, as a disabled person and as a person who's, I have a lot to deal with on a daily basis, and it's just easier for me to do this as my as my blog, as my, everything. So, but I still love Hockey Florida, don't get me wrong, okay? Like, people in Canada may not understand as well as I do, but in the U.S., trying to grow the game, there have been times it's been a bit difficult. And, it was like, but we do have hockey in the desert over there now, and the Golden Knights, the game has grown. There's some things, and I'm sure that, people will be like, a hockey team in Florida, that's preposterous. No, we're not going to do a hockey team in Florida. You're right, that is preposterous. Preposterous. No, 2. We're going to do 2 ice hockey NHL clubs. 2 of them. Both Stanley Cup winners. So I still love Hockey Florida. You know what I'm saying. I just love hockey. So don't worry about that, Jets fans. At some point, when I have a little time, I might go in there and change. That's just a slow process there. I don't like the changed format. It is not Mia friendly in certain ways. So don't worry about that, though. I'm a one club kind of gal. I always have been. And I got over all that stuff with the Capitals. There's some people who I absolutely appreciate, and I'm not, but some things, just, I don't know, let's just say God was present and so on and so forth. Anyway, so I've caught up, and now I'm sort of like way more in tune with everything that's going on, and I've spent time online, kind of like letting Jets fans know, I'm here, I've been here, I'm in Maryland. I've learned to feel connected even though I'm far away. And I will say one thing is, like, I am in a poverty situation. It's a little different in the United States, okay? I'm not saying that there aren't some things going on in Canada that need work, but, like, for our health insurance situation, it is very different. And there are things that just aren't covered, and we have trouble waiting for specialists, too. But our insurance does not, like, even if you have really good insurance, it doesn't cover everything. And anyway, I had to pay a lot out of pocket, and because of my medical conditions, I was not able to work, and I was a one-income person. That was me. So when I was unable to work, even my emergency money started rolling out the door pretty darn quick. Like in the U.S., it's kind of like some financial people might say, well, have like 1 full year of your salary, like, saved up somewhere accessible, as in liquid, in case of emergencies. And yeah, I did. But it didn't last a year, it lasted 4 months. But if any Jets fans see this, like, I'm moving, and I need a toaster. Now, see, I haven't looked recently, but I'm pretty sure that all the clubs, at some point, right, all the NHL clubs were selling toasters that toast the logo right into your toast. So, is there such a thing as a Jets toaster? I don't have family. I don't get birthday presents. I don't get Christmas. I don't get any of that. Yeah, you can feel sorry for me a little bit. It's okay. You should. But you also should be grateful you're not me. I mean, like, just sometimes I say, look, if you try to compare your life to mine, I guarantee you there's some people on earth who feel a whole lot better. There's some who just be like, yeah, you think you got it bad. This is why another reason I'm grateful, because I know there's people who have it a little worse than I do. You know, it's a sucky situation for me. But people need to understand, don't ever try to keep me away from ice hockey. You should be encouraging me, because ice hockey helps me in so many different ways. I don't have time to put in just one. Okay, maybe at some point soon, before the season starts ramping up, because I start really jumping in September. I've been paying attention to the Jets. They've got some neat, they did the comparison, a 35-year-old just everyday athlete versus the incoming class of, now see, with the grip strength on one hand, I bet you I could probably hit team average one hand. Everything else, though, oh my God, no. I'm exactly, like, it would take me a whole day to finish that running back and forth and back and forth. My time was 16 hours and 20 minutes. Okay, so, but anybody here, if you have a little extra money and you want to be friendly, okay, my current address is 425 Booth Street. Booth, Booth Street, Elkton, Elkton, Maryland. And the zip is 21921. Any friendlies out there, if you like anything Jets, like anything, clothing, right, would just make my freaking year. But specifically, if they still make those toasters that toast the logo right into the bread in the morning, squeeze! You know what I'm saying? It would take me several months to save up to get one of those. So, I mean, it's good for my mental health. You guys would be helping my mental health. So every morning I've got Jets toast. You know what I'm trying to say? But this should not stand. We can do something about it. Okay, if anybody's out there, well, what can we do about it? I'm like, a lot. Press. They're press people who know. They are journalists and hockey press people. You know as well as I do. There is guidance as to whose names are supposed to be on that cup. You know as well as I do, it is not acceptable. We cannot allow that precedent, because what's another owner going to do? No. The press, there's something to talk about. There's something to write about. Maybe, somebody does a story on the old Whalers, which are the new, old new, and they're not that new anymore. They've been around for a while as the Hurricanes. The Cardiac Canes fans should just be all over the place bothering people. Like, excuse me, Commissioner Bettman, if you don't do something about this, then you should just step down. Even the owners of other clubs. Because some of these owners didn't put extraneous names on the cup. They followed the guidelines, you understand? It was checked. Right. You understand? I mean, even some of the billionaires should be making some efforts to have that undone. And even if there weren't people who'd been there since the Whalers, quite literally, the mascot's name would have been more appropriate. Or, a super fan would have been more appropriate. We cannot accept this. We should not accept this. We should speak up about it. We should write about it. We should, let the commissioner know. It's like, if you don't get this corrected, you don't belong getting paid to do the job you do, sir. Respectfully. There is something we can do about it, hockey people. And we shouldn't stop until correction happens, to be honest. Alright. Well, have a good day, everybody.